Hi, I'm Letitia, a hip-hop loving, Jordan-wearing native Detroiter, and this is Bridging the Gap, a web series brought to you by Next Gen Michigan, dedicated to connecting the issues that young Black Detroiters care most about to the ballot. Over the next 5 minutes, you'll hear from community leaders and activists about things that we care about most, like affordable housing, criminal justice reform, and racial justice. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's take this walk together, and hopefully we all can learn something new. How do you feel about President Trump saying he's done more for Black Americans than any president since Abraham Lincoln?
Trash. Like, what does it look like to be a guy who says that he's done more for Black Americans, but also has fought against many of the protections that Black Americans care about? What does it look like to be a person who's, stripped labor protections, stripped, regulations for workers, and, stripped regulations for housing?
In a June interview with renowned journalist Bob Woodward, President Trump said he felt no responsibility to better understand the pain of Black Americans. How does that make you feel?
I mean, that's crazy. You need somebody who's actually the president of all people, not just the president of some people.
What can Black Detroiters do to win back our power?
In the city, I mean, it starts with being a part of a community organization, getting a part of groups that share your values, people who want to make a difference. But it's also voting. It is a piece that is reflective of our shared power when we can get out and we can vote and we can show people our displeasure and what they're doing.
Voting is one of the most powerful forms of protest.
Yeah, it's one of the most powerful forms of protest. It's a tool. I know that people are being beat over their head right now with go vote, go vote, go vote. It is a tool. The other tools that we have in the toolbox, just to name a few, are protesting, are being a part of, community groups. And it's also simple things like filling out the census that lets people know that this is where I live and this is the community that matters to me. And we got to actually use all the tools of civic engagement if we want to win.
Right now, I'm walking along the DeQuinder Cut near Eastern Market, and it's pretty clear that money was spent to revitalize this area. But what about the inner city, where there are abandoned houses on nearly every block? Next up, we'll hear from Chase Cantrell of Building Community Value about how those funds are allocated. What can Detroiters do to win back our power?
Honestly, it's about voting, right? Whether it's at the federal level and trying to get resources from the federal government, or whether it's voting for your city council member or your mayor. It really matters who's in charge of how money's getting distributed.
What can we do to help our communities outside of voting?
Outside of voting, a lot of times we think that we'll elect someone and then we walk away, that the politicians will save us, but they won't. It's up to us to continue to go to community meetings, to go to city council meetings, to show up when it matters and demand what we want in our neighborhoods and in our communities. So it's really up to us to know that the power isn't located somewhere else. We already have power to build the kinds of places that we want to see.
What can Detroiters do to get more funding for our communities?
A lot of times we think that the power is in the hands of elites in the suburbs, it's in the hands of white politicians, but this is a Black city. This is a Black and brown city. And if we vote, if we stay involved, if we continue to fight for what we actually believe in, we can create a city that reflects what we really want.
Nationally, 25% of African American adults have a felony record. In Detroit, that's nearly 100,000 people. Nicholas Buckingham of Michigan Liberation has one thing he wants to make clear for convicted felons. What's a common misconception about returning citizens and their right to vote?
That we can't vote. We're often told from our parole officers, from other people in government, from our police officers, even down to our family, that felons do not have the right to vote in the state of Michigan. And all of that is false. If you are a convicted felon, if you have a felony conviction on your record, even if you're on parole or probation, you can vote. The only people in the state of Michigan that cannot vote are those that are currently sentenced within the county jail and those that are sentenced within the Michigan Department of Corrections.
What are some last words that you would say to encourage people to get out and vote?
You know, I'm looking at this election as being probably one of the most hectic elections I have ever been involved in. We're seeing times in our country right now of uprising that is happening across the country because of police brutality. We're seeing our president just run amok and say anything that he wants to say, even downplaying a virus that has taken the lives of so many people across this country, even those that have been, you know, part of my family. I think if we really want to see significant change, we're not going to get it in a snap of a finger, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. But it's so important that we are looking at the people that are running for the positions of power. Do your research, make your vote count. And when you make it count, look at what it is that you want for your community, look at it as what your community is asking for, and what do you want for yourself. Get out and go vote. And like Diddy said, vote or die. I think that's the real talk this time.
Thank you so much for tuning into the first episode of Bridging the Gap. I hope you've learned something to make you more knowledgeable as you prepare to vote in November. And please make the commitment to actually get out to the polls and vote, or vote absentee. And remember, it's not just about the presidential election. Local elections matter too. Until next time, peace.